الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ما بعد. We started last week the المنظومة البيقونية, the science related to the science of hadith, Mustalah hadith. This field of science talks about the hadith. How can we know if this hadith is authentic or not? Mustalah hadith. There are two fields regarding hadith, riwayah and dirayah. Riwayah to talk about the hadith, is it authentic or not? How can we know it is authentic or not? These narrators, are they authentic? The chain, it's okay or not? Dirayah to talk about the text itself. What is the meaning of the hadith? Okay, is it contradicting another hadith or not? So we have two things. So Mustalah hadith is, they call, this is one of ulum al-ala. What do they mean by ulum al-ala? Yani for example, why do we study this field? Is it because itself or because to know the hadith is authentic or not? It is not for itself. Okay, I mean it is not the goal, this science. It is a mean to know the hadith is authentic or not. But for example, the tafsir, the fiqh, the aqidah by itself, we need this knowledge. But mustalah al-hadith, or for example, nahu, the grammar, okay, they call, this is ulum al-ala, to reach to the point. For example, the grammar, this is fa'al, maf'ul, verb, now. Okay, why should we study this? To understand the Quran. So the aim is understanding the Quran. By what? Grammar. So this is ulum al-ala. And the scholars say this is one of the sciences that it is specific for this ummah. You will not find the knowledge of the science of hadith for in any nations. Only for the Muslims. Okay, only for the Muslims. And of course, at the beginning, there was no ilm mustalah al-hadith. At the beginning, I mean at the time of the companions. Why? There was no need. No need. Khalas, I hear this hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. That's it. But later, at the time of the second generation or third generation, they started to know. They started to need this kind of knowledge. From where you hear this hadith? From a companion or from a tabi'i, the next generation? And who is that person? He is from Iraq, he is from Sham, he is from Mecca, he is from Medina. Okay, what was his age? Okay, so they started to need this knowledge later. We mentioned the beginning of this. It is as a poem by al-Bayquni, one of the Shafi'i scholars. He started by, of course, الحمد والصلاة. As usual, the scholars start with الحمد والصلاة. أبدأ بالحمد مصليا على محمد الخير نبي أرسل وذي من أقسام الحديث. Then the second line, وذي من أقسام الحديث عدة وكل واحد أتى وحده. And these are a number of categories of hadith, each one having come with its definition. As a general classification, there are two types of hadith. Sahih or da'if. General classification, okay? We have two types of hadith. Sahih or da'if. Sahih means acceptable, or sahih exactly means sound. Sound. Da'if, okay, literally means weak. Sahih or da'if. Okay, weak. Okay, or we can say acceptable and not acceptable. Acceptable, مقبول, not acceptable, مرفوض, or غير مقبول. This is as general. Okay, this hadith is acceptable or not. Okay, But when you study, you'll find the scholars mention many types. صحيح وصحيح لغيره وحسن حسن لغيره وضعيف ومنكر. You'll find many types. Okay. يعني under ضعيف there are many types. Under صحيح there are many types. Okay. But to make it easy, generally we have two types of hadith. Okay. يعني this is important to know what the scholars mean by this term. Okay. For example, if they mention Hasan, okay, خلاص, I will understand that Hasan means acceptable. متفق عليه, acceptable. صحيح لغيره, acceptable. منكر, not acceptable. موضوع, okay. Subhanallah, maybe the word weak, okay, maybe some people will understand, okay, this is acceptable. Okay, why weak? يعني for example, this person is weak, he can walk, but he is weak. طيب, but with the knowledge, in the knowledge of hadith, this is not acceptable. ضعيف means not acceptable hadith. Okay, so you'll find maybe munkar, or the word shad, the word موضوع. So all of these names under this category, the ضعيف. So this is a general classification, the sahih and ضعيف. This is important to know. This is acceptable or not. So when I read the books, for example, you read the books of fiqh, the books of seerah, the books of aqeedah, any field. Okay? So you need to know what are the meanings of these terms. موضوع. Okay, what is the meaning of موضوع? طيب, موضوع, this is fabricated hadith, not authentic. So this is under the second classification. So he started with الصحيح. We mentioned this, الصحيح. أولها الصحيح وهو متصل. البيقوني رحمه الله started with the first. He will not mention only these two. He will mention more than two types of hadith. يعني he will go more details. So the first one, صحيح, the sound. صحيح. Okay. Oh, the first thing is الصحيح. He mentioned how can we define the Sahih hadith. There are conditions for it. Can you remember? Because I think we explained them. صح? Okay, we explained صحيح. Sorry. أول شيء أولها الصحيح وهو ما اتصل. There should be a chain, and this chain should be connected to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. Okay. ولم يشد أو يعل. It is not shad, there is no illat, there is no hidden problem, and the narrator should be ضابط وعدل. Okay? Let's see the conditions. أول الصحيح وهو ما اتصل. ما اتصل. The chain should be connected. Okay? So there should be chain to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, because mainly we are talking about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Maybe sometimes it is a saying by Abu Bakr, so we need the chain to the Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. Okay, or sometimes to one of the tabi'in like Sa'id al-Musayyib, al-Hasan al-Basri. Also, we need to study. We need to study this chain. So number one, there should be a chain. يعني to say قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Okay, this is hadith, but where is the chain? Can we say this is Sahih hadith? There is no chain. Now, if anyone of us say قال رسول, and many times we say قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Where is the chain? From Ahmad to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, from Mubin, from Tanwir, from Muhammad. This is, where is the chain? You should give us a chain to say this is an authentic hadith. So there should be a chain, and this chain should be connected. Sorry. Okay, and this is one of the main points and the definition of hadith sahih. This chain should be connected. Sometimes it is easy to know, but sometimes difficult. Okay. For example, if Abdullah ibn Umar said, I hear the Prophet ﷺ say something. Okay, this is connected chain. A companion by the Prophet to the Prophet ﷺ. If a tabi'i, for example, Nafi', okay, Nafi' and Ibn Umar. Nafi' was working Ibn Umar or his son. So this is clear connected chain. Nafi', the son of Abdullah ibn Umar, to Abdullah ibn Umar, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, but sometimes there is a gap. Also, it will be clear. Yeah, for example, if Al-Hasan al-Basri said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, is it acceptable? Not acceptable. Why? Because there is a gap. We will not say there is a missing companion. Okay, Al-Hasan al-Basri is one of the companions or tabi'in? Tabi'in. And many times or sometimes you'll find in the books that Al-Hasan al-Basri says, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Okay, this is not authentic chain. It's not authentic chain. Why? Because Hasan al-Basri did not meet the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He did not hear from him. Some people say, okay, but there is a missing companion. No, we don't know. We don't know. Maybe there is a missing another tabi'i. 1, 2, 3, 4. Allahu Alam, we don't know. So the chain is not acceptable. So this chain should be connected. The chain should be connected. Okay? Every man, every narrator hear from the previous one. So the chain should be connected. If it is not connected, if there is one missing, then it is munqati'. It is a disconnected chain. طيب. أول والصحيح ومتصل إسناده ولم يشد أو يعل. So then we mention it should be not shad ولم يشد ولم يعل. Okay. Let me mention the fifth before the third and fourth. بنقل عدل ضابط عن مثله. طيب. He said narrated by يرويه عدل ضابط عن مثله. Narrated by one who is just and precise. Okay. The narrators, okay, should have these two criteria. ضبط وعدل. طيب. الضبط والعدل. He said just, precise. طيب. And precise. It is not exactly precise. By explanation, inshallah, it will be clear for you. طيب. Just, adl. Okay. One of them, okay, related to his religion. Is he a good practicing Muslim or not? Or he is fasiq? Yani adl is just adl. They mean adl. Adl is opposite of fasiq. It is opposite of disobedient. Okay, what is the definition of disobedient? What is the definition of fasiq? If there is a man, or also women, can women narrate the hadith? It is acceptable. Okay, and this is also one of the important issues, that the narration of hadith, okay, will not take the rules of the shahada, of the witness. This is important. Yani, they mention, especially in the chapter when they explain the chapter of fasting, Sawm, and also the Eid. Is it enough for example, for the Eid of Al-Fitr? Is it enough one woman to see the moon? Or for example, Ramadan. Ramadan, some scholars said it is enough for one person. It is enough. Al-Hanabila, they say it is enough, one person. If one person witnessed that I saw the moon, then we can start fasting. So some scholars said, can we say the same thing for women? Is it enough for one? Is it okay for us to accept the witness of one woman or should be two? Okay, so those who said the telling about the moon is a shahada, so we need two. But the other who said no, it is like the hadith, so it is enough one. Why? Because they are narrating. Okay, I mean the point here is that narrating a hadith is different than witnessing. Narrating a hadith is different than the witness. And for example, if a lady narrates a hadith, will not say we need two women. One woman is acceptable. One woman is acceptable. Okay, so here we are talking about this person, and we are talking about the religion, the faith of this person. Is he a good practicing Muslim, or he is a bad Muslim? Okay, what is the definition that he is a good or a bad Muslim? If he is avoiding the major sins, this man or this woman not drinking khamr, not stealing, not backbiting, okay, praying the fard salah, doing the hajj, giving the zakah, then he is okay. And also he is not insisting on the minor sins, because insisting in doing minor sins is a major sin. If there is a minor sin and you advise the person, please, this is haram, don't do it, and this person insists to do this minor sin, then it will shift to major sin by his insisting, not by the sin itself. Yeah, for example, if we consider watching the movies is a minor sin. So you saw your friend watching the movie or going to the cinema, then you advise him, this is haram, it's not allowed in Islam, Allah doesn't like this. Jazakallah khair. Tomorrow, the same thing he's doing. Then you advise him, and you mention the ayah, the hadith. And the third day, every day. For example, there is a person every day at work, you advise him, he's watching movie, and you are telling him, this is haram, not allowed, and he's insisting, then this will be major sin because of his insisting. Okay, so al-adl is related to the faith of the person. Maybe there is a person, his memory, computer. His memory, 1 tera. He will narrate the hadith exactly. But he doesn't care about the prayers. He doesn't care about backbiting. Okay, can we accept the hadith from him? No, we will not accept the hadith from him. Because this is a religion. This is a religion. So this is very important that we as Muslims, we don't accept the hadith from anyone. We don't look only at the memory of this person, also at his religion. The second one, adl, just. The man, he is just, adl. Okay? It is a literally translation. Just, yes, it means adl. Okay? But in the field of hadith, when we say adl, this person is adl, it means he doesn't have major sins. And he's doing the compulsory things. Adl, I know, just it means that if you come to me and you want a judgment, I will tell you, I will judge you and just this way. Okay? What do you mean? What is the problem? No. This person, he is adl. He is just. Fair. I know there is a problem in the translation. Okay? It is not exact translation, just. Okay? If we make it in Arabic, it will be easier maybe. Adl. Adl. This person is adl. This person is adl. What does it mean, adl? He is straight in his faith. This person is adl, means he's praying with us the 5 prayers. He did his hajj. he's giving his zakah, he doesn't do the major sins. Of course, we are talking about what appears to us. Allahu A'lam, inside his house or when he's alone, Allahu A'lam. But what appears for us, when I ask you about this person, alhamdulillah, he's muhtara, he's adl. Alaykum salam. طيب. Adl. This is called Dabt. Dabt, of course, Dabt doesn't mean officer here. Doesn't mean officer in the army. Dabt. In Arabic we say Dabt, the officers in the army or in the police. Dabt, they mean he knows what he's saying. His memory is strong enough to narrate the hadith exactly in the way he heard this hadith. Dabt. Okay? He will convey the hadith exactly. طيب. Of course, as a human being, we do mistakes. But they are talking generally. For example, if there is a person who narrated, let's say, 1 million hadith, and he had mistaken 100 hadith, can we accept this man? Yes, because what is the percentage of 100 to 1 million? Nothing. This mistake as a human being. This mistake as a human being, but this is acceptable, but not for 100,000 hadith or 500,000 hadith, all of them wrong and the other half correct. 50% of his hadith wrong or there are mistakes, we will not accept. But most of the time he is narrating exactly the same hadith. This is the meaning of Dabt. And also the scholars say there are two types of Dabt. There are two types of Dabt. They say Dabt Sadr, Dabt Kitab. I'm not going in details. I'm giving you a general idea about Mustalah Hadith. Inshallah, it will be useful. And also, some of the rules used in the medicine. When I studied the psychology and the communication skills, some of the points are there in the hadith. Some of the points were in the hadith. For example, only to connect this with something useful. There is something called the talqeen. This man كان يلقن فيتلقن. What does it mean talqeen? Talqeen that I tell you something, then you say it. Okay? And this is disadvantage. This is a defect in the narrator. And the same thing in medicine. This is not acceptable. How? You enter the clinic, then you say, the doctor asks you, what is your problem? Well, I have fever. Then the doctor says, you have fever, huh? And also you are coughing. Sometimes the patient tries to say yes. Why? Because the way of the question pushes him to say yes. Okay? And also you have itching. Okay? This is not a good way. For a doctor. The doctor should ask an open question. He should make the patient to talk. What is your problem? Well, I have fever. What else? When you say what else, khalas, you give him open question. You give him the chance to talk. Because you need to collect the information from the patient. Yes, maybe when you finish your question, when the patient finish, he doesn't have anything to say, then the doctor can ask. So the same thing in hadith. Okay, maybe sometimes one man or one scholar, he asks another scholar, did you hear this hadith from this scholar? Okay, when you hear that he was crying, he was smiling, this is also not acceptable that you ask the sheikh in this way, and also not acceptable that the sheikh to go with this kind of question. Okay? No, he should be firm. I will tell you the hadith exactly. I don't need anyone to help me by asking these leading questions. Okay? So I mean, some of the rules of hadith are useful even in your life. Okay, so Dabt. I will finish only with this point. Dabt. Okay, so there are two criteria should be there in the man or woman. Okay, to be accepted. Okay, the first one, Adl. He's a good Muslim. His faith is good. طيب. Dabt. He should Dabt or Dabt. Okay. It means that his memory is okay to convey the hadith as he heard the hadith. And there are two ways to convey the hadith or to memorize the hadith. Dabt sadr, it means memory. Sadr means chest. Sadr means chest, but they mean your memory. Dabt kitab, kitab by your book, by your note. So some narrators, when they narrate the hadith, because their memory is very strong and they memorize. While other narrators, they cannot memorize very well, so they need to write. Alaykum salam. So Abu Hurairah was which one? He was conveying the hadith by his memory or his book? Sadr. And he said, Abu Hurairah, he mentioned about himself that the meaning that I was conveying the hadith, I was memorizing the hadith, and no one competing me except Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. Why? Because he was writing the hadith and I was not writing the hadith. So Abdullah ibn Amr al-As was trying to confirm the hadith by writing. So so not necessarily that to say this man is accepted in the hadith that his memory is strong. Maybe his memory is not strong, but when he attends a lecture for a sheikh, he can write everything. And also writing alone is not enough. Suppose that there is someone who's attending the class of hadith and he's writing every single word. Exactly. He's writing very quickly. And if he misses anything, he will ask his colleague. But after the halqa, he will keep the book here for next week. This case will not accept from this man. Why? Because we don't know. Maybe the boys will play with his note. They will add, they will erase. The scholars are very, subhanAllah, very careful about the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So that's why we should trust our scholars. They say, yes, this man is writing everything. But he has a maid at home, plays with his notes, changing his notes. So I will not accept this man. Yes, he's writing everything, he's attending, he's paying attention during the class. But he's careless at home. He's not taking care of his notes. Okay, so this is very important about Dabt al-Kitab. He's writing, okay, maybe someone will come to his notes and he will add something. He will put his notes in one place. Like now, many times. Okay, some of the students, when they attend the class, after the class, where is the notebook? In the car. They don't care. For next week. Okay, who's driving the car? Sometimes me, sometimes my wife, sometimes my brother, sometimes my friends. Okay? So if we know that the person doesn't care about his notes, sorry, will not accept you. But I wrote all of the hadith. Yes, you wrote all of them. But during the week, you don't know where's your note. Who was using your note? So, subhanAllah, brothers, when we know the knowledge of hadith, inshallah it is enough if you are not writing anything, only attending the class of hadith. It is enough for you to know how our scholars protected the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know the ayah, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the dhikr. Dhikr includes the Quran and Sunnah. And Allah protected the Quran and Sunnah. Okay, by these scholars. This man, يعني, and also sometimes they say, yes, this man is hafid. He is hafid. His memory is very strong. But at the end of his life, he lost his wife, or he lost his house. There was a fire in his house. Then there was a problem in his memory. Or he lost his books. Sometimes you'll find the scholars say, there is a problem in this hadith. Why there is a problem? Because there is a man in this hadith. His name this and this. Okay, but this is a good man. He's just and precise. Sah. But he was precise. He is hafid. He is memorizing the hadith by his books. But someone stole his books at the end of his life. Okay, now, how can we differentiate between the hadith, the hadith that he narrated before his books were stolen or after? The scholars, mashallah, they could know this. How? They say, if this hadith is narrated by this man or this man, then we'll not accept. And if this hadith narrated by this man and that man, then we'll accept. Why? Because these are old students and these are new students of this man. So then they can differentiate. Very precise. Very precise. يعني suppose that some of you attended the halqa with me, okay, from 2010. And some of them joined maybe 2015. Okay? So they know, the scholars know that this man traveled to this sheikh this time. So we'll accept the hadith narrated by this man. Why? Because he was with him from 2010. But those who joined him 2015 will not accept the hadith from them. Why? Because there was a problem 2014. The sheikh lost his books. The sheikh has a disease affected his memory. Okay, so the scholars are very careful about the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.